Good morning, everyone. I will wait a couple minutes, let everybody kind of log in here. Appreciate everybody taking the time to join us on this gorgeous November day. It is really beautiful out there, so hopefully you will take some time to get out and enjoy the sunshine. I don't think we're gonna see a lot of that this coming weekend. Before we totally jump into the program, I do just want to take a moment to shout out our good news at the Shawnee Chamber. We received information last week from the U.S. Chamber that we once again received our 5-star accreditation. So this is really the highest honor that a chamber can achieve. Just for a little bit of perspective, there are over 7,000 chambers in the United States, and only 132 of us have achieved the 5-star accreditation. So that puts us in about the top 2%. So just, kind of shows you how we as a staff and as a board are continually working hard to do our best through all the disciplines that we serve, whether it be tourism, economic development, government affairs, small business, and working, of course, to always connect and convene and advocate on your behalf. So we were delighted to receive that news and are excited to share that with everybody. And I want to thank our Investor Guild. We, again, say this every time, but it is so true. We can't do what we do without the continual support of our members, investors, and definitely our sponsors. These companies before you have stepped up big over the last few years and have joined our Investor Guild Club. And those are American Family Insurance, the Brian Rapp, Brad Henry, Williams and Associates, Michelle Herford, Kyle Zeller, and Michelle Underwood agencies, Advent Health, Bear, now Elanco, Central Bank of the Midwest, the City of Shawnee, Waste Management, and of course, Amos Family Funeral Home, Complete Construction Service, Country Club Bank, Evergy, GBA, Overland Park Regional, Shawnee Mission, Ford, and the Zarda Rickey Development Corporation. A big thank you to all of those who continue to support our efforts month after year. So today, we've talked a lot about COVID, obviously, over the last year and the impact that it has had on our small businesses. And today we're going to talk a little bit with some of our nonprofits about the effect that COVID and this year has had on them. But before we do that, I wanted to invite Dr. Michael Fulton, the Superintendent of Shawnee Mission Schools, to share with you a presentation about an upcoming bond issue to help support the schools, the future of the school. So I will turn my screen over to you, Dr. Fulton. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's always good to see you. Looking forward to hearing about what is coming up for Shawnee Mission Schools.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share today. I really appreciate it. So I'll go ahead and share. I'll do a screen share here and I'll get started. All right, we'll go ahead and off we go. Should come up here in just a second. All right, can everybody see the screen okay? All right, very good, thank you. All right, well, again, thank you for the opportunity to share about the Shawnee Mission bond issue that will be coming up in January. What I want to do today is give you a little bit of a context for what this bond issue is about, and importantly, why we're doing it. And so we're going to start off with our mission statement. Everything we do in Shawnee Mission goes back to our strategic plan. And our work, including the bond issue, is really based on a strong belief that every child matters and that schools are, in fact, a bridge to opportunity for each of our children that we serve. And Shawnee Mission is a wonderful community. It's a diverse community. And so it's really important that we do the very best job we can to prepare our students for their future. One of the ways that we're doing that is we are developing a laser-like focus, really, on 3 important objectives. One involves making sure that our students learn how to do personal planning. And so we want all of our students to develop personalized learning plans. And those personalized learning plans need to make sure that they have the academic foundation that they need for life success. So we're focusing on priority standards, making sure that students master those priority standards. And as you know, as employers, that academic foundation is important, but so too is the ability to engage with others effectively. So we want our students to graduate college and career ready and with the interpersonal skills that they need for life success. In the course of getting ready for this bond issue, we have done a lot of public engagement. First and foremost, this bond issue was a direct result of our community strategic planning process. My apologies. That work actually began back in 2016, but really started in earnest with the 18-19 school year and continued into the 19-20 school year. And then, as you can see from this timeline, kind of leads us up to today. One of the things that's important to know about this process is that we spent a lot of time studying what the district needed to support the strategic plan. And then we spent a good deal of time engaging with various community groups to plan it all out before we actually got to a plan of action that would support those three objectives that we just discussed. The board, in the course of preparing for this bond issue, created a new structure they hadn't had before, and that was a finance and facilities committee composed of community members. That finance and facilities committee looks at our finances and provides advice and feedback to both myself and to the board on whether they think we're on track or not on track. The same is true for our facilities. What I'm going to describe to you went through that finance and facilities committee, and they are supportive of this bond issue. Shawnee Mission is a great school district with a wonderful history. We want to build on that past to make an even better future for all of our students. We want to make sure that we remain a national class district, ensuring that every child is able to fulfill their full potential as a learner. The bond issue itself really focuses in on four key areas: support student learning. It represents a really thoughtful and transparent long-range planning process. You'll see that as we go through the slides. We're really paying attention to taxes. And so this maintains the lowest mill levy rate in Johnson County, even though it will involve some increase in our current rate. And it provides a sustainable path forward by which we can decrease workload for secondary teachers. You know, our secondary teachers have one plan period. The other school districts in Johnson County, they have two. Why does that matter? It matters because it helps our teachers have the time that they need to prepare high quality lessons, but also connect with all of our learners so that they can build those personalized learning plans and get the academic foundation that they need for life success. The bond issue itself, as you probably are aware, bonds deal with facilities. And so we have a number of facility upgrades and routine maintenance that are part of this bond issue. There are 5 elementary rebuilds: Deemer, which is in our South Attendance area; Pawnee, which is in our West Attendance area; Rushton Elementary, which is in the North Attendance area; Tomahawk and Westwood View, that are both in the East area. The only attendance area without a rebuild is the Northwest Attendance area, which includes Shawnee, of course. But the reason for that is that we've already done some rebuilds in the Northwest area, and most of those buildings are newer. So that's a good thing. But we will, in this bond issue, provide upgrades to all of our facilities, at least for those that need it. And that includes everything from technology infrastructure to things like roofs and asphalt, ADA upgrades, and so on, the typical things that you get into in a bond issue. We do have a facility that we are going to demolish, and that's our old early childhood center. The building's in really bad shape. We'll tear that building down and probably maintain use of the land for a while. So with that, that kind of gives you an idea of what the totality of that bond issue is. Now, I talked earlier about the need to provide additional additional time for our secondary teachers to engage in planning and interacting with our students. In Kansas, you're really limited on what you're able to do with your various funds. One of the things that Shawnee Mission has done over the years is they have built new facilities out of their capital fund. But what we're going to do going forward is that we're going to build all new facilities out of our bond fund, and we'll no longer use a capital fund for that purpose. So this kind of illustrates what we're doing. All facilities that are rebuilt, like those elementary schools or new facilities, we'll do that out of bond issue funds. That is actually pretty typical in the school world. Now, we are allowed under Kansas law to pay for custodial and maintenance salaries out of our capital fund. And we currently spend about $4 million out of our capital fund for that purpose. We're going to a little more than double that amount, up to about 25% of our capital fund that we will spend on custodial and maintenance salaries. The $4.5 million that we're going to add into capital for custodial maintenance salaries frees up that same amount of money in operating to then help us to pay for decreasing secondary workload. And so that's how the bond issue gets connected to helping us to reduce workload for secondary teachers. You can't pay for salaries out of bond. That will be buildings. You can only pay for custodial maintenance salaries out of capital. We're going to do that, but with some limitations. And then freeing up the operating fund to meet that other need. So the operating fund pays for the things that you see on your screen here. It is really important in the school world to keep a cash flow of between 10 to 15% in your balances. We have recommended to the board, and they are actually developing a policy on this issue, and they did a first read of the policy at our last board meeting. They'll approve this policy at the December board meeting, in which we're saying this: look, we have to maintain a certain level of balances just to meet our monthly expenses. And that's around 8.3%. So the policy will speak to the issue of maintaining at least 8.3% in balances, but also aiming for 10 to 15% as imbalances as needed to maintain cash flow. That ensures that the district's on a good financial footing for the long term. Secondly, we're taking a careful look at our capital fund to make sure that we maintain that capital fund in a way that's prudent. Through the strategic plan, we identified the need to reduce workload for secondary teachers. I mentioned that we have to move about $4.5 million out of the operating fund for custodial maintenance salaries into our capital fund. We're going to do that in a phased way. We did get some new revenue from the state this past year, and through the negotiation process, we actually set aside $921,000 of that money committed to helping to get to the additional $1.3 million that's needed for reducing secondary workload. We'll pick up the rest of that $400,000 when we on the next round of additional revenue from the state. Now, in order to make sure that we don't overspend in our capital fund, because capital funds used for things like routine maintenance and repairs, as well as technology, furniture, those kinds of things, we've said, look, we can make this transfer of funds from operating to capital for custodial maintenance, but there's a limit. And what we said is there needs to be a hard cap of spending no more than 25% of our capital fund on custodial maintenance salaries. That is also part of the policy that the board's developing. Again, they did the first read at our last meeting, and they'll do the second and final read with approval at our December meeting. So we're doing all of this in a way that's designed to be fiscally responsible now and well into the future. What this allows us to do in our capital fund is we will be able to do routine maintenance. You can see that right now we spend about 36% of that. That will rise to 40% by 22-23. We have older buildings, so we have to make sure and keep them up. It allows us to do technology, which we know in today's world is really important, essential really for learning to occur, particularly when we have to go into remote mode. It allows us to maintain equipment and furniture. And we've talked about those custodial salaries will move up to 25% of custodial maintenance salaries into the capital fund. But the one thing you see dropping off here are the bond payments. Currently, we're paying for about 3 buildings out of our capital fund. We'll finish that up by the end of 21-22 and zero that out for 22-23. The actual bond issue itself does involve a small tax rate increase. And actually what we've done to do good planning and to be completely transparent is we've laid out for our community what we need to do between now and around 2032, 2033. You know, when you think of bond issues, you really can anticipate what a lot of your building needs are going to be. You know when the lifespan of roofs, you know when asphalt's going to have to be replaced. So we went ahead and projected out exactly where we're going to be, you know, in that 2032, 2033 timeframe. So we've built into the next 3 bond issues, projects, rebuilds, those kinds of things that we feel like will need to keep the community strong. And so I'll go to, you can see this first bond issue that will be on the ballot in January's $264 million. And then we anticipate that there'll be 2 other additional bond issues that will be needed. Now, as a reminder, this bond issue that's coming up in January, it's a mail-in ballot only, and it also so it doesn't involve those other 2 bond issues we're looking at. It's just at $264 million. Now, recognizing that we have to slightly increase our mill rate to address the long-term needs of the district, what does that mean in terms of our comparison to other Johnson County school districts? Well, you see that comparison here. Based on our current mill levy, we actually have much lower mill levy rates than the other school districts. And even with this slight increase, you can see that after the 2021 bond issue, if it passes, an estimate of what our mill rate would be, along with an estimate of what our mill rate would be if the next 2 bond issues were to be passed as well. So even in 2032, with that estimate of 55.889, we're still well below our Johnson County peers. With that, I'll be happy to take any questions. I might add that this is a mail-in ballot, and so people will receive their mail-in ballots in early January, and then they'll have to get them in by the due date. So with that, I'll be happy to respond to any questions, and I'll stop sharing the screen at this point. One moment.
Right. Dr. Fulton, thank you for that. You know, it's exciting to see the continued investment in our schools for our kids and education. And again, you know, we've always appreciated the partnership that we've had with your teachers and your students, and looking forward to creating some more opportunities to get students and teachers involved in the things that we do here locally as business. And so this isn't necessarily related to the bond issue, but just, you know, do you see future opportunities for, you know, integrating business and the education system together in the upcoming school years? I know this year's been a wash a bit, but
great question, and actually very much so. In fact, this bond issue has built into it some funds so that we can begin to expand some of our career ed programs. We have a facility where we currently have a couple of our career ed programs, such as Blue Eagle, which helps to Blue Eagle, and also our fire program. So that facility has capacity to look at adding some programs, whether it's plumbing, electrical, or those kinds of things. So we're going to expand our career options for our students. We also are part of a region-wide effort with the Kauffman Foundation that is really focused on providing internships for students while they're in high school with businesses. And so we are very much 100% into that effort, with the Kauffman Foundation being a good partner both with our Shawnee Mission businesses, but also joining with our other Johnson County school districts to do what we can to build career-ed options for our students while they're in high school. So we're very excited about doing that. The one thing about COVID and going virtual has been this. We now know that if we need to do internships virtually, not only do we know how to do it, but I think businesses are learning how to do it as well. So that's kind of an exciting step forward, perhaps for all of us as we conceptualize how we connect with each other.
Yep, everybody's learning a whole new world. Well, I appreciate you so much taking the time to come and share this information and keep everybody informed on what's next for Shawnee Mission Schools. We'll do what we can to continue to push that information out on our channels and encourage our members to talk to those colleagues and friends and family that are in the Shawnee Mission School District to support this issue that's coming out. So thank you so much. And if we have additional questions or whatever, we will funnel those to the school district or to Dr. Fulton and get back with anybody. And now I'd like to, again, welcome our panel. As I mentioned before, COVID has impacted all of us in so many different ways, including the populations that our many chamber member businesses, nonprofits, and their populations that they serve. So I would like to introduce Michelle Hermann, who is our Shawnee Chamber Chair for the year. Michelle recently retired from a nonprofit here in Shawnee, the Sunflower House, and she will be introducing our panel and moderating any questions. So Michelle, welcome, and welcome to our panelists today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to begin by asking each of our panelists to provide a brief background of their organization, mission, and the role in the community that they play in providing assistance to those in need. Starting with Mark Nassler of Hillcrest Transitional Housing.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for inviting us to participate. Hillcrest has been around since 1976, and we're solving homelessness. You know, there are some great shelters in Kansas City, but those are a temporary situation. We are actually helping families and youth who are aging out of foster care become self-sufficient, and we're transforming those lives. And you can look from on the screen and see exactly what kind of impact we've had. We're doing this with our campuses and housing units throughout the greater Kansas City area by taking and helping through an educational process. Many of the families that are homeless are not because of what you hear in various publications or on the media. They're not lazy. Many of these people are hardworking individuals. Unfortunately, financially, they have put themselves in a situation, they have put themselves where a situation has presented themselves that they needed a place to live. We provide them a place to live. We put them up, we feed them, we keep them closed and keep them healthy. And over the period of time, once they complete the program, then we help them through transitioning to new housing. We have the youth program, the kids aging out of foster care, and many youth that may be in a homeless situation. We'll take them in for up to 2 years and get them self-sufficient. It's very cathartic for them. And we help them to the point that when their 2 years are out, they've got transportation. We help them get housing, and we help them learn how to become adults. We also have 2 thrift stores, one in actually Shawnee. Actually, it's in Lenexa. It's on the border of Shawnee. 78th and 79th in Quivira. People know about it because it's by Margaritas. We take donations, and the donations are not just for people to buy once they're in the store, but they also provide our families with adequate supplies and clothing as when they transition out of our program. We're very, very pleased with the amount. The problem we've had, and we'll talk about this a little later, is we always are looking for volunteers to help us through with our housing units as well as at our thrift store. We're very, very pleased at the production of our staff and our board of directors as we move forward during these very difficult times. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Mark. Next, we have Ann Roth with Mercy and Truth Medical Services.
Good morning, Shawnee Chamber and Ann and all the team. Thanks so much for letting me talk about something I am very passionate about, and that's Mercy and Truth Medical Missions. So I just sort of did the journalistic who, what, when, where, so we could stay on focus, but I hope you all are paying attention because I have door prizes for audience participation, and they are awesome. So who we are a medical safety net clinic. And if you can see that picture that's cloudy, the only picture on there that's cloudy, that is our location at 75th and Quivira. And the reason that I took a picture of the parking lot is when we were across the street from the Shawnee City Hall, they let us park in their parking lot because we actually didn't have a parking lot. So think about being sick and not feeling well, and maybe you've got a baby in a stroller and you're having to maneuver around all sorts of traffic. So 2 years ago now, we actually moved into this location at 75th and Quivira. Okay, so I know you're all wondering, what is the door prize that you get? Okay, can you see this? Look, they are so super cool. Everyone's going to want to participate. This is a hand sanitizer that can fit in your pocket. This is a pen that is shaped like a flu shot, right? So for door prize number 1 in the chats, how many people in Johnson and Wyandotte County, which is where our 2 locations are uninsured? So just put that in the chat. Is anybody chatting? Well, okay, you should, because these are super cool prizes. So we actually do have 2 locations, one in the Johnson County and one in Wyandotte County. And that's our target market, is the uninsured as well as those folks on Medicaid. So what do? We actually provide primary care medical services. The copay starts at $40 at each one of our locations. And that number is very specifically designed because $40 is also the number of, that's basically on average the amount that we will get reimbursed for from Medicaid. I will tell you all, if you know of anyone that is in need, we actually got a community development block grant from the city of Shawnee. And so if people qualify, they can have that whole entire visit paid for. And we do still have some funds for that throughout the end of the year. Okay, and Elizabeth Griffith, I have to tell you, you were blooming close. 70,000 is a little high, but it's 66,678. Think about that number. That's a lot of people in these 2 counties that don't have medical insurance. And these 2 things will be coming your way. But wait, there's more door prizes. We've been actually around for 25 years. We actually started when our executive director went on a missions trip. And she said, she came back to Kansas City and said, there's a mission field right here. And let me tell you, there is. So for door prize number 2, same thing, but they're super cool. What percentage growth have we had over the past 4 years? So I'm talking about what percentage growth have we seen in patient visits? Okay. And just last year, we were on track to see a little shy of 10,000 people. So we've had a pretty tremendous growth. So I'd guess high if I were you. Oh, Danielle guessed 155. Oh, I'm sorry, it's higher than that. So keep guessing and I'm going to keep talking. So finally is the where. Where are we located? We're located in the richest county in Kansas and we're located in the poorest county of Kansas. And amazing but true, 500 is a little too high, Shelley, but guess again. The top 5 most diagnosed areas are exactly the same in each one of the 2 counties. So the last thing I'm going to talk about, and just sort of my introduction about Mercy and Truth for door prize number 3. Oh yeah, same thing, but again, super cool. When you think about, and this is specific to Johnson County now, How many people in Johnson County did not get a flu shot last year? That is one thing that is terribly important for the uninsured and the underserved. It's a great preventative measure. And I just want to share with you, because we had many partners that are part of the Shawnee Chamber that helped us pull off an event we called Boo to the Flu. So in the top right-hand corner, you guys are going to see the lines that were at Trail Ridge Elementary, because Dr. Fulton, thank you so much. You guys allowed us to partner with you, because this year we had to do everything contactless. So this is the line of people that were starting to line up over 2 hours before this event started. At the school, we gave away 200 free flu shots, 200 free hoodies, and 200 free turkeys. And that line was starting 2 hours before the event started. In fact, the school district was getting so nervous because we were starting to back up traffic on 75th Street that we started letting people in early and early and early. And again, even then, there was still a line on 75th Street. We gave out everything in right about an hour. The middle picture right there with all of our orange Boo to the Flu shirts is the nursing team from Advent Health that was giving contactless flu shots. And down at the bottom is a new partner that we have, which was the Kansas City Symphony. They were playing as the cars were traveling by. So again, if you have a guess for the number of people last year in Johnson County that did not get a flu shot, let me know. Because let me tell you, Shelley, I'm really sorry. It's a lot more than 500 people did not get a flu shot. So this is what I'm going to talk about at the end of the presentation. So keep that picture of those little boys in your mind. Thank you so much for letting me chat about Mercy and Truth.
Thank you, Anne. Next, we have Sylvia Terry from Shawnee Community Services.
Good morning. So Shawnee Community Services is at 67th and Neiman. We've been here for 30 years. Previous to that, we started at Johnson Drive and Flum in 1982. Our primary mission is to kind of fill in the gaps for what other groups aren't able to do. So we're not limited by the grants that we get because we don't get any. So anyway, so what we're primarily doing right now due to the COVID situation is the pantry, the food, all the free food. We are doing some free clothes and shoes. But in general, we have our children's Christmas party so that we usually serve about 400 children, getting them a good experience for Christmas. We have our backpacks of school supplies. Usually do that in August. Of course, everything, just start every comment with, 2020 has been different, but that's a program we normally have. We are doing a lot of helping with gasoline vouchers. We don't do vouchers, we do quick trip cards. We're here Monday through Saturday. Pardon me, I got a frog. Anyway, and we've been a chamber member for 40 years. Thank you very much to the Shawnee Chamber. We've been very honored by Mayor Michelle Nassler to receive the Mayor's Christmas Tree Funds. Share in the Christmas Tree Funds for a couple of years running, which is historically a new thing. So it's a very big honor. We only do one annual fundraiser. It's a golf tournament. So the primary way that we're assisting at the moment is all things related to food, and then co-pays with prescriptions, gasoline for cars, and then we're expecting next spring to be able to go back to helping with household items, towels, pots and pans, silverware, probably all small items, probably not furniture. Thank you for allowing me to share today.
Thank you, Sylvia. And our fourth panelist is Chris Burt with Special Olympics.
Thanks for having us on. We really appreciate it. The mission of Special Olympics Kansas is to empower individuals with intellectual disability to become physically fit and more productive members of society. We really do this through 4 pillars, the primary pillar being sport, That's what everybody knows Special Olympics for. That's still the primary thing we do by far. In Kansas, we serve over 4,500 athletes statewide. A lot of those are in the Kansas City Metro. More than 1,500 are in the KC Metro. It's year round. Many people know Special Olympics as a track. They think of the one-time track event each year, but we do sports year round, more than 20 sports all over across the state. And then we have really what we call 3 supporting pillars, health being one of those. Our athletes have a life expectancy 16 years shorter than the general population. That's primarily due to accessibility and education. So we do a lot year round to provide health training, health education for our athletes. We do fitness competitions, fitness challenges to get them more active when they're not in sports training, which has been a huge part of what we've been doing during the pandemic is virtual fitness challenges with our athletes. We also do free health screenings at our competitions. We're able to identify lots of issues for athletes and help them get follow-up care by working with organizations statewide to serve them. The next supporting pillar is education. So we're in the schools as well. It's a 3-component model in the schools, the unified sports. So we have athletes competing on the court and field with an intellectual disability, competing with their general education peer together. It's an amazing program. I think it's the best thing we do. And then inclusive youth leadership and whole school engagement being the other 2 components. So spreading the word about the unified sports program and getting those students involved in the everyday part of the school. We're in 50 schools statewide, middle school, high school, and college. Generally every school in the Johnson County, all the high schools, so Shawnee Mission, Olathe, Blue Valley. And we're slowly getting down to the middle schools and getting outside the Kansas City Metro. It's a big part of what we do these days. And then the third supporting pillar is leadership. So we train our athletes, have education programs ongoing to involve them not only in the organization at the state level, but within their local program. And then to hopefully from there, go into the community and be leaders. So, going beyond sports, Special Olympics has really become about inclusivity. How can we get our athletes engaged in the schools, in the community, in the organization, outside of their sports teams? And that's a real quick run through of what Special Olympics Kansas is.
Thank you, Chris. So our first follow-up question, we'll go in the same order. I know sometimes on Zoom it gets a little complicated to know who's up. So we'll start with you, Mark, and if you'll each answer this same question. What is the #1 challenge that you face as a nonprofit?
I think the #1 challenge for a nonprofit is the same as for-profit. It's money. You need operating expenses. You need to continue to support your mission with, when you're talking about housing families and feeding families and keeping these buildings up to date and maintenance, it helps tremendously to get funding from the community. You're not going to get as much as you're used to get from government, but I think funding, quite frankly, keeps us operating, and having a good board of directors that makes us fiscally responsible is a very, very key part of it.
Thank you, Mark. Ann?
Well, obviously, Mark hit the nail on the head, but one thing that is very challenging when you have a clinic in that richest county in Kansas, people have a perception that there are no problems in Johnson County and that everyone has health insurance and everyone has gotten a flu shot, and that's just not the case. So there has to be some education about that, there are some challenges, but we can help.
Thank you. Sylvia?
Again, echo always first thing fun. So besides that, having enough hands to help all of the people who ask, enabling us to serve all of the people who are asking for help, and then Another challenge is, of course, having an awareness that we're even here serving people.
Yes. And last, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, funds, that's certainly number one thing we talk about here, but one that we don't, I don't know, recognize, or it's becoming more of a priority for us, is involvement from individuals with ID in the organization. We figure we reach about 10% of the population that could participate, that we actually do have participate in Special Olympics. And it's not just a Kansas issue, it's a national, international organization issue for Special Olympics, is getting those individuals involved. And many times it's just accessibility in rural communities to teams and training, and just general awareness. It's as the general population is becoming more sedentary, so have our athletes. So getting them up off the couches to do this type of program is an issue for us as well.
Yeah, Anne mentioned this already, but I don't think a lot of people are aware of the poverty that does exist in Johnson County. It's one of the most greatly underreported stories in our area, that in the last decade especially, that poverty has really spiked in Johnson County. Mark and then Sylvia, since you deal with a lot of poverty in your areas, why do you think that is? And as you look to get people involved in your organization and support your mission, are they ever surprised at the needs that exist in this part of the metro?
I think that there's a perception that, as everyone has stated, that Johnson County is we're all driving around in BMWs, living in homes. When I was with Habitat for Humanity, I can tell you that we saw the income level, the poverty level is extremely high, because people think by moving into Johnson County, they're going to hit the golden ring. And reality is that's not the case. We've seen a spike. And if you look at UCS with Johnson County government, they've got some great statistics about homelessness, about the situation. There's a task force right now dealing with affordable housing. And part of the issue we're facing right now, and I know this may be ahead of ourselves, but we have a problem with affordable housing. And the fact is that we talk about poverty, for people that are moving in, that are trying to find jobs, there's no place for them to live. And so we have some issues that need to be addressed. And the fact of the matter is there's human trafficking going on right now in Johnson County, and that's not being addressed either. And that, thank God, we've got a program for our youth that are prime targets for that.
Sylvia, I'm interested in your thoughts.
So I think for me, growing up in Johnson County, as a child, I grew up in the unincorporated part, and there wasn't, it really wasn't talked about. But as I got older, it kept being reported that, Johnson County was like the third richest county in the nation and blah, blah, blah. And so, like Mark said, there was some perception that if you moved to Johnson County, you've, got the brass ring. But bottom line is, for example, just around our specific location at 67th and Neiman, we've got Shawnee Village across the street. Those houses were built after the war, and all those families moved in, and they're small homes, and the population is aging in these older areas of whether it's Roland Park, Mission, Shawnee, whatever. And so the income is reduced, and then you've got all this expensive housing that can't be supported. And so, as Mark said, one big issue is the housing, and affordable housing's become a dirty word. And so I really like a comment I heard in a UCS meeting. The gentleman said workforce housing, because that really describes what Mark is talking about, which is we want to have all these businesses so that we have all that tax income, tax base. We want to have employment, obviously. However, are the employees, there's no housing for them. But then we also don't have a transportation system that can bring them in from other areas. That's been suggested as one solution. So a lot of it's just the whole aging population. Part of it's perception. And yes, I can't believe how many people still believe. It's a surprise to me too, how many people still believe that, there's no poverty in Johnson County. We're all well off. I've had somebody say something about the wealthy Johnson County ladies, who are restricting what these poor people can have. And it just surprises me that that's still out there.
Yeah, and as all of us in this panel know, there's so many needs in the community and it's spread across so many agencies and different organizations. How does your agency work to break through the clutter to stress the need that your particular agency is trying to fill? And how is that impacted by COVID environment? Mark?
We have probably some of the greatest nonprofits in the greater Kansas City area that are helping people in a variety of ways. I can tell you, in having worked now with Hillcrest for the last couple of years, that the majority of the people that I talked to didn't even know we existed. And the reality with most nonprofits is, Michelle, because of your organization as well, a lot of people didn't know about Sunflower House. And that's the biggest challenge that we all have as nonprofits, is making people aware that there are issues out there in the community. There is domestic violence. There is problems with human trafficking and homelessness and all that people don't necessarily want to admit. Sylvia talked about it at the UCS meeting. One of the biggest issues we have is the NIMBY attitude with certain people about taking care of our people in need. And I think all of us need to do a better job of that. With the COVID situation, I think that unfortunately, people have been focusing inwardly. Although I see a lot of support in the community for what we're doing in other organizations. But I think right now with COVID, a lot of people are focusing on taking care of themselves first, and then they'll worry about other people later. I don't think that's wrong. I think it's the situation that we're in.
Chris, let me ask you, does having a worldwide brand help you to spread the word and to build support locally?
Yes, absolutely. It opens doors. I mean, everyone has, I think, a general awareness of what Special Olympics is. They may not know more than a track meet, right? But people have an idea. It does create its own challenges, though. Special Olympics North America, Special Olympics International are doing fundraising in Kansas. So we may go to a potential sponsor or general donor, and they say they've already given to Special Olympics. And so it creates some confusion for us in that marketplace. We're really 4 tiers. There's Special Olympics International, National, Special Olympics Kansas, and then we have local programs. So each community-based program is its own entity. It's part of our 501c3. But we are competing there for fundraising and in that general awareness. But yes, does it help? Absolutely.
That's great. Well, obviously money and other donations are a necessity to manage a nonprofit. But Anne, I wonder if you could talk about the importance of having active and engaged volunteers and the value that they bring to making sure that a community service organization is successful.
Yes, Michelle, volunteers are just such a core to helping us do literally what we do. And if you guys remember the pictures that I showed about our Boo to the Flu event, we had to completely change how we did things. And in order for us to give out, in total 400 free flu shots in a very, very short amount of time. So we had volunteers, and I hope I don't forget anyone, but we had volunteers from Advent Health. We had volunteers from the Shawnee Rotary that helped me man that entire event. We had the school district. We had the Overland Park Rotary. We had our board members. We had our staff, and we also had the Kansas City Symphony that volunteered to come out and do this. So volunteers are critical, because we couldn't obviously pay all those people in order to have an amazing event like that.
Sylvia, I know that you rely a lot on volunteers as well. Any other comments you'd like to share?
Well, in our case, so we have 2 full-time and 2 part-time paid persons. Everyone's else a volunteer. We've been really feeling the pinch since the pandemic started. All of us were in the high-risk group, so the majority stayed home, and the rest of us were just trying to figure out how to make it work. But we really can't do what we do. We couldn't have sustained what we're doing for this many years without volunteers. And the biggest thing is getting new volunteers who have the right interest in what you're doing and are reliable. And we all have to have our volunteers be our ambassadors to spread the word about what we're doing and helping us have support, whether that's in all across all reasons, money, hands-on help, whatever. But yeah, volunteers are critical. Couldn't do what we do, couldn't have sustained what we've done for as long as we have without good, reliable volunteers and them acting as ambassadors for us.
Are volunteers involved at the center right now, Sylvia?
We do
Given
have
COVID.
some. We do have some. We couldn't do it with just the 4 of us. We have about, I think we're back up to, I haven't counted, but I think it's 8 that we have regularly. And I just started taking court-assigned community service about 2 months ago. I allowed some to come back because I just physically needed some help.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
with the COVID situation, Michelle, real quickly, with the COVID situation, we want, with our volunteers at the thrift store and our housing units, we want to ensure that we're following all of the same health practices and safe practices for all of our volunteers. That's very, very critical. Otherwise, people won't come out. If they don't understand what we're doing when it comes wearing masks, keeping the area clean, volunteers are absolutely critical, but people are, quite frankly, a little bit skittish about coming out and volunteering under the COVID situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, understandably.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll give everybody just a minute to wrap up by sharing anything that the attendees can do to help your organization going forward. Do you have any events or any initiatives that you'd like to promote as a final word? Chris.
I think 2 things for us. We're not going to have in-person events, Special Olympics till March or April at the soonest. That's normally what I would say is check out our volunteer opportunities. We do have some virtual opportunities. A lot of that is staying connected with our athletes. So that's on our website, ksso.org. And then our Polar Plunge, our biggest annual fundraiser, is coming up. And I encourage, especially businesses and groups, to come out, form a team. It's great not only to help us, but team building. It's a fun activity, a fun day. That's on our website at ksso.org. Thanks.
Thank you, Anne.
I have the sheet that I've asked the Shawnee Chamber to share, but I just want to touch briefly on 2 things. So as a safety net clinic, we want to be one of those first locations that can give out the vaccine for COVID-19. In order to do that, we have got to have a medicine vaccine refrigerator, a freezer for vaccines, as well as a sub-zero freezer, because we've got to be prepared for each one of those circumstances. The other thing that a vaccine refrigerator would allow us to do, once again in Shawnee, is that would allow us to be part of the VFC, the Vaccines for Kids program. And we know that there are many kids right around our clinic that need those vaccines. So I would love to get some support for that, because I want to be able to offer that vaccine. And then I'd love to get some, what I'm calling our cold kits. If people want to start collecting, my friend and yours, chicken noodle soup and cough drops and Kleenex. So thank you.
Thank you. Mark.
We actually have a wonderful partner in Shawnee with Transport Brewery right on Johnson Drive. Tomorrow night from 5 to 8, they're having a happy hour obviously social distancing, and since health issues are considered, if you bring in a non-perishable food to help our pantry, which helps feed our families while they're in residence, you'll get a discount on your beer. And there'll be some door prizes from 5 to 8. So spread it out. Not everybody show up at 5 o'clock. The other thing is, as we move into the winter season, it's time for people to donate all those summer clothes that got a little tight on us over this summer because we're sitting at home eating. And it's time to donate those clothes to our thrift store. And those clothes and many of the clothes and household items go to our families when they move into their new residence because they don't have the resources to buy it themselves. Plus, what we need is food for our families.
Thank you, Mark. And Sylvia will give you the last word.
Okay. Well, we always can use food drives. It's something simple that people can help with, and that's an all-year thing. Food is an all-year need. I'm looking for people who might participate in the Chambers golf tournament. You always have a full, we want you to sign up for that first, but we know there's overflow. So if you can keep ours in mind, we need a lot of sponsors. Ours is in June of 2021. So if people could go to our, I'd like to encourage people to go to our website and sign up for our newsletter. We'll put out the word on whatever's going on. It's scsks.org. Just in general, that's my ask is if you can organize a food drive, otherwise go to our website and keep track of what we're doing.
Well, that's something any of us can do. So I want to thank all 4 of you for sharing some of the wonderful work that you're doing in our community and how COVID has impacted it. I think we're about out of time, but I just give Anne a couple minutes if you'd like to promote any of the events of the Chamber.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also want to just give a very heartfelt thanks to each one of you for taking the time to participate. I thought this was fantastic. I'm writing down some ideas of things that I can get my kids to do. I love the cold kits and Sylvia, we as a team, we volunteered and packed boxes at Community Services. And we're trying to figure out a way we can help do some fun, safe stuff this year yet too. And I would encourage anybody to, get your office, get your family involved. You maybe don't have to go on site, but there are things that you can do. You can build cold kits or presents or, clean out your closets and make that fun and get that over to those that are in need. Certainly, I think everybody on this webinar can help with those less fortunate. So I appreciate all of you, the work that you do. It's not easy, and appreciate you taking the time and sharing this message. It was really great. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I do want to wrap again. We do have a few upcoming things before the 2020 comes to a close. Our Shawnee Tomorrow Leadership Program will start again in January, and so we are still taking applications. So if you are interested, please reach out to us at the Chamber. You can contact Mary Taylor or Amy Neiman for more information, or as always, any road will get you there. Just reach out to one of our Chamber staff members. We will be more than delighted to help you get signed up for that program. We will have our final fourth quarter SCDC investor meeting. We are kind of closing out the year, though, similar to the way we opened it, and we will have a real estate panel talking about how wrong they got their projections for 2020, but really just looking forward to 21 and how COVID has affected the office, retail, and industrial markets. So I would encourage you to join in on that. Even if you're not an SCDC member, we've opened that up this year just to allow all of our Chamber members, SCDC members to participate. I think we have a great panel, and I think they'll be very interested. And finally, there are still opportunities out there for you, your small business. There's training money through Johnson County Community College, and there are still the $10,000 CARES Act grants available, and the Enterprise Center of Johnson County is helping to facilitate each of those grant applications. So if you haven't taken the time to look into it, please do. The money does need to be issued by December 30th. So there is a bit of a time crunch on that, but please take some time to take a look at that. And then also the city of Shawnee is currently in the middle of their comprehensive plan, and they want to hear from you. If you live, work, play in Shawnee, your opinion matters. So please take some time. I've done the survey myself. It takes maybe five minutes, probably not even that long, to go through and answer those questions. So take some time. Your input really matters on the future for Shawnee and the way the overall city develops. So I think with that, is there anything else? I do just want to say, happy Thanksgiving to all of you, your families. Be safe, be well, and we will see you again in December. Thank you.